Hi, it's Alaska Granny. We're approaching the end of the year, and it's a good time to go over some of your most important documents. Make sure that things are clear, updated, and that everything is in order. The first thing you want to check is your driver's license. When does it expire? Could it be that you forget it's at the beginning of the next year? You want to make sure that these things don't expire, that you renew them before they need to be. And a lot of times you have months leeway that you can do it, and what happens at the beginning of the year is everybody rushes down. They're very crowded, and you want to avoid that if possible. Plus, you may want to check if you have a real ID. If you plan to travel, you need a real ID. It may not have to be your driver's license. It could be you have a passport or a global entry or some of those other identification cards. But make sure that you have something that is a real ID. It's just going to make it easier as the government continues to want to identify us or whatever. They put new restrictions and new regulations that can make it complicated. So if we plan ahead and we have those things, we don't run into a problem. Also, look at your passport. Realize when is the expiration date. It's very simple to renew them ahead of time. You get some grace period afterward, but if you need to travel, you need to have a minimum of 6 months still existing on that expiration date at the time you return from your trip. So if you're planning a trip off into the future, figuring you have a passport, look carefully at the date in it and make sure that the date gives you the leeway you need. Also, make sure that you have extra blank pages at the back, because sometimes you need to get a visa or some stamp or something, and you have to have those blank pages so that those documents or those notifications or stamps or whatever can be inserted into your passport. Look over your bank accounts. I know that I recently had one of my bank accounts. Suddenly I was getting charged fees because the bank changed the regulations and the fee structure without really me realizing it. But because I was going through these things, I found this fee and I was able to call them. I was able to change it into whatever the new regulations and restrictions were and have that fee refunded back into my account. But if you don't pay attention to those things, you could find out you're paying all kinds of fees. You didn't even realize it when you didn't need to be. We have to be proactive for ourselves to protect our own money from banking. That, you know, that's how they make money, is charging fees to you. So you want to make sure that you are aware of those fees and that they haven't been changing them. Be aware that fraud is spiking, that there is much more of it, so we need to be vigilant to make sure that we protect our passwords, protect our cards, protect our accounts, and do whatever we can. So be aware of that and look at over, make sure the fee structures haven't changed and the banks are sneakily trying to charge you more of your hard-earned money. You want to protect that money and keep it for yourself. Look over your insurance policies. Make sure that they are up to date, that you have the full coverage that you think you do, that you need. If your property values have increased, make sure that your insurance is increased to cover those losses. If your automobiles, your cars or trucks have gone down in value, make sure that you are keeping aware of that so that you aren't unnecessarily paying to insure something, because they're not going to give you more than your car is worth, and they usually give you less if you're in an accident. So you want to make sure that you have the proper coverage. Also, pay attention to what your policy dates are to make sure that they don't lapse and you just simply miss that information. Because you don't want your policies to lapse when you have to make a claim, because that could put you, that you don't qualify anymore, and we don't want to have that happen. Look carefully also at your mortgage if you're paying the PMI, because you have put less than 20% down. If you've been paying on your home for a while and the value of your loan has dropped below 78%, then you don't have to pay that PMI anymore. So pay close attention to the value of your property and the amount you owe on your loan, because it can be several $100s every month on that mortgage payment that is going to PMI. And if you have dropped below the amount, then you want to make sure that you have that removed. You can then put that money towards the principal, pay your house off faster, save extra money, or just have it available to you into your budget or your emergency fund. Look over your retirement accounts. Make sure that you have your name properly on there and that the people that you want to be the beneficiaries are still who is the beneficiary. Sometimes people get divorced or someone will die, and if you don't update your beneficiaries, the money could go to someone you didn't intend to. And don't put that off, because people unexpectedly die all the time, and then there are huge problems for those that you love and care for if the proper money isn't distributed to the correct people. Check to see if your employer is paying a match to your retirement accounts. Then you pay it in and they match that amount. Absolutely budget to make that money paid into your account so that you get the match. It's 100% free money that is going into your retirement account. Don't neglect that. Find out what the amount is that your employer will match and make sure that you are putting that much into your retirement account. You should put more, because before you know it, you're going to be old and need to retire. So you can either save some money and retire with money, or you're just going to retire and you don't have any money. It's too late to do it over. One way or the other, you're going to get old. So make that money work for you. As you get up into your 70s, check on the required distribution, because you reach an age when you have to start taking that money out, or you end up paying a penalty to the government, to the IRS. Nobody wants to be taxed more than they need to. So if you're into your 70s, check over. They've changed it a few times in the last few years, so I don't know exactly what the age is, but you need to make sure that you are aware of that so that you take the required minimum distribution when you need to. It's a good time to update your medical care. Check that you have your current insurance policy cards, that you have the correct ones in your wallet. Sometimes we get new ones in the mail, we put them away, we don't update it in our wallet and in our doctor's office or whatever we need to with our medical healthcare providers. You want to make sure that you don't have a problem if you have a bill, that it doesn't get billed correctly, because it takes all kinds of time and trouble to try to straighten it out. You don't want to pay extra medical bills that you don't need to because you didn't pay attention to your policies. What is the current policy number? Have you shared that with your doctor? Anything you need to update, make sure that you have that information. Also, if you're taking any new kind of medications, make sure that you have a list of that with you in your emergency supplies so that you know what are the medications you're taking. Sometimes we lose track of them, or we get in the doctor's office, or we have some kind of an emergency and they ask you, what are you taking? Or if you can't speak for yourself, a family member needs to know that information, they may not know. So you need to have a copy of that to make sure that there isn't a problem with you getting your medication, or that there's a problem because they aren't aware of all of the medications that you are taking. We want to avoid any kind of complications that come from interactions. Look over your emergency contact list. The school year has begun, it's underway. Does the school have your current updated emergency numbers, the people that you count on? Do you have that if, say, you're at the gym? Do they have an emergency contact in case something happens to you? What about with your workplace or your daycare center? Make sure that you keep those current. Also, if you ever take your pet to like a daycare, or you board them, or to have medical treatment with a veterinarian, make sure that you have the contact information for an emergency number. If you board your dog, you go out of town, something happens, they need to be able to contact you, and if they can't, you need to have an emergency person that they can call that can be there locally to make sure that your pet is well cared for, and that someone who knows you and knows your pet can make those decisions. Check over your vehicle registration. Is it up to date? Make sure you have it up to date, that you have the correct stickers on your car, you have the documentation in your car, and the correct documentation has gone to your insurance company. You don't want to let your registration lapse because you could also then have problems getting a ticket, or maybe there's a problem then with your insurance if you have an accident. So you need to make sure that those things, you keep your ducks in a row, that you know when all of these dates fall in line and that you keep track of them. An advance directive and a healthcare power of attorney. End of life. No one wants to think this is it, but it will be for everyone sometime. And if you become sick or incapacitated, you want to have the advance directive so that they do the things that you wish, whether you want to be on life support, you don't want to be on life support. Who can make those decisions? Who's not allowed to make those decisions? And that the people that you want to make those decisions for you have been named, and that your wishes are distinctly drawn out. You could have a medical emergency and not be able to speak for yourself. You don't want strangers in the hospital deciding what you want. You want to have those decisions made for yourself. So that's when you need to make sure that you have an advance directive and the healthcare power of attorney, so that the people you trust are the ones who make those decisions for you. There's a lot to think about. We don't like to think about having problems. We want every day to just be peaceful, good, and happy. But one way to smooth that out is to take care of these important documents, to make sure that we have the correct information, that they're all up to date. We know what we have, where it is, and that the people that we care about are the ones that we've planned for. We want to make those decisions when we're not under stress, and so doing it a little at a time, looking over these documents, keeping all of them straight and in order, helps make your day go smoother. Because problems come to everyone. Disasters happen. People get sick. There's all kinds of emergencies. But if you have the proper documentation, it can smooth the way, because you can find the answers, the solutions, the people that can help you, because you have all of those documentations and they're correctly filled out and noted before you need them. Let us know in the comments below, what other areas do you think we need to update our information, our important documents, our identification? We want to make sure that we don't leave anything out by mistake and then have a problem in the future. We can avoid that with proper planning ahead of time. I hope you'll like my video, share it. Please subscribe to the Alaska Granny channel.